All right. Put on your rage hats here, kids, because I have something that will... It may not make you froth at the mouth. It may not even make you go... Rawr. On the other hand, it may well. It's a piece that I have been unable to get on the air until now. It ran in the Los Angeles Herold Examiner on Sunday, June 6th, D-Day, and appropriately it ran in the comment section. It's a piece by Jack Catran. Mr. Catran is a space scientist who's worked on the Apollo and other space programs. He's the author of Is There Intelligent Life on Earth? And in my humble, obsequious, and always non-committal opinion, he has answered the question in the negative by causing to be printed his article, which is headlined, Long Ago, Far Away, and Full of Bull, Why Sci-Fi is All Fiction and Little Science. Now, here's what he has to say. The UFO knots depicted in the reported contacts made by us Earth people must be awfully dumb. They have made many bad landings, and their attempts to communicate with us have been rather sketchy and not too clear. But according to the science fiction buff, we must never question their existence. Similarly, we had better not question the existence of those agoraphobic aliens who stayed behind and chose not to venture forth on their saucers. This is a sacred article of faith to the many star warriors, third-kind encounterers, and chroniclers of Martian life, many of whom are hopelessly trapped outside the mainstream of science and technology. Science fiction and fantasy is all but obsolete. In this day of the computer and planetary exploration, the genre has become an anachronism. It is high time that it dragged itself off like the elephant of fable to some distant graveyard and died. At this moment, riding aboard Voyagers 1 and 2, there are recordings of Bach, Beethoven, Louis Armstrong, and Chuck Berry, in case there is someone out there hip enough to rock and roll deposited aboard those spacecraft at the suggestion of popular science writer Carl Sagan. Aboard Pioneer 10, which will take about 80,000 years just to reach our nearest star, and which it will miss because it's not headed that way, there is a plaque featuring Earthman and Earthwoman waving greetings, another idea from the same writer. While not meant to be science fictional, the Voyager and Pioneer messages turn out to be because they are based on the same false science fiction premise. The weakness in the concept is in sci-fi's view of a human, whom it sees as an autonomous being, controlled and steered by a computer-like brain, exempt from the laws of the universe and capriciously self-propelled. Why should we expect them to be like us? It's pure anthropomorphic projection. There are no space aliens out there waiting to listen to Chuck Berry. Neither are there space people available to view Neither are there space people available to view those drawings aboard Pioneer 10. Yet it is understandable how such a space cadet view of the universe arises. The study of any science always begins with science fiction. Strange explanations precede the valid. Chemistry began as alchemy, astronomy as astrology, and medicine as witchcraft. Today's astrologers and medicine men are to be found among our science fictioneers. The futuristic automobiles they depict had better not become a reality because mass transportation is a more efficient and safer method for moving people. Besides, our need to travel will no doubt be drastically reduced by the future of three-dimensional video communications. The sci-fi folk delineate futuristic dwellings when we already know that the single-family residence is obsolete. Their large buildings are invariably cold, inhuman skyscrapers, and their spaceships appear to be the same buildings turned horizontally. The cereal box scientists go on bombarding us with today's violence projected into the future, with wars and treks between the stars and encounters of the worst kind. Lost in a world of distorted language, they are continually attaching themselves to new, impressive jargon. Echistics, one of their latest vogue terms, is supposed to mean the science of human settlements. Yet there isn't a scientifically designed community on this planet. A chapter in a popular sci-fi book is entitled, What Do You Say to a Non-Human? There are also books entitled, We Are Not Alone, Is Anyone Out There, and Is Anyone There? Let us not forget the extraterrestrials coming soon to a theater near you. Parentheses, I think he means E.T., close parentheses. What we should be asking is, what do you say to a human? What we should be concerned with is not mythical people in the cosmos, but humanity on Earth. That Pioneer 10 message should have been sent to Earthlings, welcoming them to the community of man. Today's science fiction market is the product of the social instability of our times, and it will survive only until that instability exceeds the limits of tolerance. Then our society will demand the service of socially conscious scientists who are competent to meet the needs of our citizens. This will guarantee a high standard of living and maximum security at a minimum of working hours for everyone. In the meantime, we should resolve to read more works of science and less science fiction. Let us probe into the nature of computers and artificial intelligence, as well as browse through the many easy-to-follow books on cultural anthropology, whose concern is the behavior of groups of people and cultures. We must also devote ourselves to an examination of the work of Charles Darwin. The story of our origins, our development, and the natural selection process is certainly the greatest story ever told. Finally, let us meditate during quiet hours alone with books on astronomy, cosmology, and physics until we become intensely aware of the place of our unimportant yet important planet in this dark, mysterious universe. There has never been a more critical time than now to review the many popular translations of Einsteinian relativity written for the non-scientist. They will give you a sweeping and comprehensive view of the nature of the world and could leave you forever changed. And if our science fiction and fantasy writers are seriously interested in tomorrow's world, I would urge that they cry out for a massive program to redesign our cities, our transportation, and, most important, our inequitable distribution system, a social design attuned to our earthbound needs as well as our spatial ones. The kind of money required for survival insurance of that magnitude would make the Pentagon budget look like peanuts. The application of big science and big technology to the management of our human affairs, a science that is still in its infancy, would be a Brobdingnagian undertaking, and I knew I blew that word. Let's call it Project Americana, and it would be 1,000,000 light years more worthy of the most technologically advanced nation on this planet than all of those chronicles and canticles and wars and treks between the stars. And that is the article by Jack Catran. I wanted to emphasize that because I don't want anybody thinking that I wrote that.
I have only one question. What does it got to do with science fiction? Not one of his references is to anything written as science fiction.
And that's the sad part, because when he talks about exploring and he talks about knowing ourselves, he can be talking about A Canticle for Leibowitz. He can be talking about the Foundation Trilogy. He can be talking about stories by Le Guin or a lot of others.
I did learn one new scientific fact, though. I hadn't realized scientifically that worthiness was measured in light years.
That is true. That is true. We did learn that, yes, among other things. Well,
He's got us confused with saucer nuts.
I would like to read Is There Intelligent Life on Earth, Mr. Catran's book, but maybe I will save that pleasure. So, Mr. Catran, it's a very interesting argument which he presents, and one of these nights I think what I'll do is open it to the group mind. Now, I should say in fairness that the following week, this ran on the 6th of June, the following week, the 13th, there appeared a, not exactly a rebuttal, but a counter to it, and I do not have that. If anybody has that, I'd appreciate it if you would photocopy it and send it to me so I can give equal time to the other side. But I thought that you would like to hear Mr. Catran's words. Note I did not say thoughts. Okay. That the other two voices are, of course, Steve Golden and Kathleen Sky. And ask you, do you have any further opinions on Mr. Catran's piece?
Well, Steve, of course, your degree in astronomy is utterly worthless. You know, you've taken to writing science fiction, and your brain is rotted.
No, let's be fair. He didn't say that. He said that we should, think about designing buildings for human beings and mass transit and so forth, rather than looking outward.
Well, all I can say is that the best science fiction I know is written about people. If you write just about the machines and the technology, you're not going to get terribly many readers.
I wonder if Mr. Catran has seen E.T. If he has not, I recommend it. It probably won't change his opinions.
What I wonder is, has he read any real science fiction?
I would have said no until he used the word canticle. And then, because that is not the type of book that gets dropped into the Martian Chronicle reading list. You have to pay attention. And so if he did, it's obvious he learned nothing. Mm-hmm. And if he didn't, why are we bothering? Okay, that's That is a piece, and I just thought I would do that just to get the juices flowing, just to get you in the...
Get them all mad at us, right?
Not mad at you. The lynch mob tenor of this station has been greatly overrated.
Well,
I'm happy to
I
say.
tended to, of course, turn off the moment he used the word sci-fi. I have a very knee-jerk reaction to that term. Hello, Forey.
I was going to mention to you that Harlan and Forey go round on that. Occasionally, they seem to exchange correspondence on the subject virtually weekly.
Oh yes, and Uncle Forey knows my views on it, but
he does sort of persevere,
yes,
regardless of anything.
Yes. Oh, he's a darling man. I have found that Forey really has very few faults. Inventing sci-fi is one of them.
Yes, right. And Famous Monsters of Filmland may be another, but I'm not sure.
Oh, I liked that very much when I was a kid. I loved it. I cannot hold Forey to blame for that.
And certainly it's at least a harmless perversion, if nothing else.
That's true. That's true. And who knows? He may have brought George Lucas and Steve Spielberg into the place where they could go to SC and say, hey, yeah, right.
At the very least, we should canonize him for that.
Saint Forey.
Why not? Why not? Let's start a campaign. Forey for Pope, for Saint, whatever.
Forey
for President. I don't know.
President is not grand enough. Let's see. How about for President of the Futurological Congress?
Earl Marshal of the Universe.
Good. Herold Pursuivant.
Yes.
How is that word pronounced?
Don't ask me.
Yeah, me neither. Pursuivant will be the French pronunciation, but I don't know if that's the way it's generally pronounced in English.
Well, if there's one out there who knows, you know the phone number, and we'll get to that later.